No man is an island entire of itself. Every man is a piece of the continent, a part of the main. If a cloud be washed away by the sea, Europe is the less, as well as if a promontory were, as well as if a manor of thy friends or of thine own were. Every man's death diminishes me because I am involved in mankind, and therefore never sent to know for whom the bell tolls. It tolls for thee. When do you think this was written? Was it yesterday, a year ago, or 1,000 years ago? Could someone write it tomorrow using slightly different words? And would someone else understand it in the year 3000? Obviously, the answer to all these questions is yes. In its core, John Donne's poem is eternal. It transcends time because it discusses universal human feelings and emotions, completely divorced from current affairs. Just like we are not likely to ever stop falling in love, we'll probably also keep our innate desire to belong, to be part of a group, of something bigger than us. Hundreds of thousands of years ago, when most of us were still roaming about in the savannah, we needed this in order to survive in a world with countless predators, many of which were both stronger and faster than us. We needed this to learn which plants were edible without having to try them and get food poisoning in result. We needed this because we were helpless during the first years of our lives, and today we need this even more. There are no lions in the streets, but we have become even more fragile. With very few exceptions, each of us is highly specialized and relies on others for almost everything, from food to clothing to housing to entertainment. John Donne knew this, for it has never been a secret. And yet, it's so easy to forget that to get lost in a feeling that you're the center of the universe, that everything depends on you. This poem is a beautiful reminder that such ideas are delusional. So let's examine it closely. No man is an island entire of itself. An island is an isolated piece of land surrounded by water. It is a single entity, unable or unwilling to contact its neighbors. It is self-sufficient. The idea, expressed metaphorically, is that nobody can be completely isolated from society. There's always a link to other humans, even if that link is indirect. Even subsistence farmers can't produce everything. We need each other. The island, therefore, is a metaphor for an individual person. That person cannot be complete or entire without the help of others, because every man is a piece of the continent, a part of the main. The continent represents society as a whole, the sum total of all humans, and the main is the mainland. Note that in John Donne's time, gender-neutral writing was not a thing, so the word man is all-inclusive. Today we would probably say human. Anyhow, we see that the poet reiterates what he has already said in the first two lines to make the point clearer. He juxtaposes the island with the continent and thereby amplifies the image. The words entire and part also contribute to this effect, and those of you who have watched my other videos know that this figure of speech is called antithesis. It urges us to look from different points of view and not get lost in a single narrative. We need this because everything is relative. Next to a pebble, an island appears infinite in size, but compared to a continent, it's tiny. Fundamental particles aside, each whole has its parts, and everything is part of something bigger. Everything is interconnected. If a cloud be washed away by the sea, Europe is the less. A cloud is a lump of earth that sticks together, or a stupid person, and both meanings work. Even if 1 gram of soil is lost to the sea, then the mainland becomes smaller, however imperceptibly. The same holds true for the loss of a person, be they intelligent or not. That person might be someone's friend or lover, and they certainly are or have been somebody's child. Imagine losing that. But we don't have to personally know an individual to be affected by their death or other form of disappearance. We're all nodes in an intricate network, and we need each other. Sure, some people are more influential than others, but as Aldous Huxley says in Brave New World, even epsilons perform indispensable services. It's interesting that John Donne has chosen the word clot instead of something that more readily springs to mind when we think about the sea and what it washes away. A grain of sand would sound more natural, and that's the problem. In using an unexpected word, the poet makes us focus, he grabs our attention and makes us think. Why do we need a clot here? And how does it differ from sand? Why choose one over the other? In blank verse, we don't have to worry about rhythm, and even if we did, a great poet would rarely employ an imported word only to fit the meter. There must be more to it. And there is. As I mentioned earlier, a clot is a lump of earth that sticks together. Like clay, it's high in cohesion, whereas a grain of sand is a free agent, an island among islands. It's almost expected from it to leave its neighbors. They're together only ephemerally because they don't form strong bonds. And people are like clay. We stick. If John Donne was indeed so careful with his words, then someone might ask why he has restricted himself to Europe, ignoring the other 6 continents. There are at least 2 ways to answer this question. Perhaps Europe is a synecdoche for the entire world. A synecdoche is a type of metaphor whereby a part represents the whole or vice versa, like the CEO of a company. Maybe the poet wants to remind us that even Europe is tiny in comparison to the entire planet. There are levels of everything, and scale is a matter of convention. Clothes, Europe, the earth. They are all interconnected. But there's a much less poetic explanation as well. Perhaps John Donne was a man of his time, and as such considered Europe to be the center of the civilized world, the place to be if you had brains. Everything else existed for the sole purpose of exploitation. Free labor, cheap materials, exotic food, you name it. It is important to remember that ideas change and that what looks normal or abhorrent today might also fail the test of time. We evolve, sometimes for the better. And even if you decide to go with this second interpretation, you can still enjoy the poem, which was written well before the age of political correctness. If white supremacy is a thing today, in our globalized world where we can have all the information we want and then some within seconds, how could we expect that it didn't exist 4 centuries ago? It's absurd. We should recognize it for what it is, disagree with the author on it, and forgive him for his ignorance. Maybe the future generations will forgive us too. After all, no man is an island entire of itself. Every man is a piece of the continent, a part of the main. If a cloud be washed away by the sea, Europe is the less. As well as if a promontory were. As well as if a manor of thy friends or of thine own were. A promontory is a point of high land that extends into a sea or a large lake. It is related to the word prominent, which can be applied to both people and objects. In both cases, there's something standing out, a person's fame or an object's geometry. In contrast, a manor is a large country house with lands. It does not protrude from anything, and it sounds much more personal. It is almost the opposite of a promontory, and the two are juxtaposed in 2 consecutive lines, both of which begin in the same way. This type of repetition, called anaphora, can be a very potent conveyor of ideas because it draws our attention to what comes after it. Here, we have items that are as different from one another as they can be, which engenders a feeling of inclusivity. This is a good example of how a handful of carefully selected words can encompass an entire spectrum of possibilities. Like in the famous expression "come rain or shine," which means no matter what. But there's something even more important that takes place in these anaphoric lines. The poet's arguments become personal. In the first half of the poem, the narrator speaks in general terms, but then he mentions "thy friend" and then goes on to include you and yourself. It's time to really get involved. The loss of a life does not affect only strangers, it affects you and me. Any man's death diminishes me because I am involved in mankind. This is the climax, the main point of the poem. We're in it together, even if it doesn't feel like it, even if we disagree. We are part of something so big that it's incomprehensible. It's magnificent. And therefore never sent to know for whom the bell tolls. It tolls for thee. Such a powerful poem. Ernest Hemingway liked it so much that he named one of his books For Whom the Bell Tolls. Can you blame him?